Hey, hello, this is Aaron Kaczynski, and welcome. I'm going to talk a little bit about denial today. Actually, we're going to touch upon the 5 stages of coping with reality in the next couple of days, but we're going to start with denial. And as I say, I'm not talking about a river in Egypt. Excuse me. So anyway, over the weekend I met with a very interesting person, certainly very knowledgeable and experienced in finances, but in a completely different area than mine. And I really enjoyed the meeting because it's really great to get a perspective and an intelligent view into an area that you don't really know, but you're kind of like in the same field. But what occurred to me over that meeting as I was listening to it and I was talking about it with him about things was how isolated that we are when it comes to our own knowledge and when it comes to our own memories. Because denial is all about failure or refusal to acknowledge reality. And I'm talking about what's going on right now. Because that's called projection. And it's literally a projection of the picture and feelings and emotions that you have inside your head, which is a little tiny theater. And you project it out into the world and say, that's reality. And it covers what's going on in a thick layer of basically imagination, right? Because that's what or memories, I should say. And it separates you and it prevents you from knowing or conducting yourself in a way that's relevant and pertinent and helps you to engage the future. And when you engage the future, what you do is you begin to actively and creatively construct it to your design. And that's a fact. And which is a heck of a lot better than being a victim to the future. See, being a victim means you're dealing with something that's happening to you and you're reacting in a defensive way. And that's not what I'm about at all. In fact, this whole anomaly, in name I work in gold and silver because I've decided to focus my mission on economic viability. Because I know what it's like to be deprived. The way I grew up, and I'm certainly not going to go into details, but I will tell you this. I know what it's like to have no food or clothing or a house to live in during periods of my childhood. And that was a direct result of my parents, God bless them, and the limited skills that they had, I would say, in dealing with reality, was the direct result of their refusal to engage properly. So what does all that mean? Well, see, wherever you are, whoever you are listening to this video, you are a member of a community. And even if you refuse to acknowledge that, even if you decide, well, I'm a person alone, an island alone, you've got to transmute your labor into, instruments of purchasing power. Now, right now, that's called the dollar. And in hundreds of other countries in this world, it's called something else. But all of it's vulnerable. It's just a piece of paper. And the dollar right now, well, intrinsically it's valueless. It's worth zero. In fact, less than zero for technical reasons. But you see, it's failing. And it's failed you so dramatically and consistently over the last 80 years, and that may be too much to swallow, 40 and 20 years, that it's the worst performing asset class, and bar none. And right now what I'm reaching out to folks is, my particular mission is to focus on that viability that you have, because it's a choice. It's a choice that you can exercise. And it's a traditional choice. You're 100% exposed to the dollar. That means everything you have ultimately has to turn into dollars in order to help you. And that's a terrible position to be in, because you've got to protect some of that purchasing power into real money. Now see, real money is called gold and silver, and that strikes a lot of people as some kind of ancient relic, gunslinging or living in huts. But it isn't. It's a basic instrument. It's like land that produces food. For a lot of people, farming seems like something so far removed and so ancient. But without it, how do we eat? The basis of all value in this world has always been gold and silver in terms of money. And that's exactly what it is. And you want to know why China is buying it and producing it as fast as possible? Do you want to know why major investors are getting it as fast as possible, regardless of the top of the market price, so-called top of the market pricing? It's because they know something. And my job is to help you pull on that string yourself, my friend. Just pull on it. Because I don't want you, or I would invite you, to not trust anything that anybody has to say but what your own experience determines for you. And as they say in consciousness, science, to ask the question guarantees the answer. And not asking the question guarantees useless and needless pain. And that's all it is. So, I write, I do these video blogs, I also do interviews. My entire working life and daily life is centered around helping you to ask the question and begin the process and start taking action so that you and I and the 3 to 5% of the people who will actually do something about this can be here to help rebuild and coalesce the communities back together again, because you don't want to live in destructive anarchy or personal deprivation if you can help it. It's as silly as standing on a beach and watching the tsunami come at you, when all you have to do is get up 40 feet up out of the air, seek higher ground, get in an apartment building, whatever. Don't just sit there and stand there and watch the wave come crashing towards you. As fascinating or as numbing or as unbelievable as it sounds, because that's the first stage of denial. Here's denial. It's not happening. Did you investigate? Usually no. It can't be happening to me. It's not possible. Friends, it is possible. And if you're watching this and you're living in the United States, you've lived a special and privileged life your entire existence. The last people who had to put up with any real hassle, I mean, I'm obviously not talking about the racial issues and stuff like that, I'm talking about just as a class of people, as a nation, was 80 years ago. It's out of living memory. But the rest of the world gets to deal with crap like, excuse the language, like it's coming down all the time, and they understand that bad things can happen. Now, none of what I talk about is about doom and gloom. None of it. It's about hope and construction of the future based on what's happening now. Alright? So I guess that's enough today. I'm going to touch upon more upon the 5 stages of dealing with reality. Denial being the first and the biggest stumbling block. Because denial, I refuse to believe anything. Great, but do your due diligence. Alright? And leave a comment. I'd be great. It'd be fascinating to see what's on your mind and what your critique is or what your opinion. But more importantly, pull on the thread yourself, and you're going to find that the whole sweater is just going to come right apart, and then you'll be able to start dealing with the next stage, which we'll talk about soon. All right? Thank you very much, and I hope to hear from you and work with you soon. Bye-bye now.